Hey, this is the Views Expressed for the 22nd of August, 2012. How are you all doing? It is Wednesday. It is Hump Day. It is downhill from here in every aspect that you can think of. Go to Liberty and Freedom Network on Facebook. Follow me there. Like the page. If you want to email the show at libertyandfreedomnetwork@usa.com. That's libertyandfreedomnetwork@usa.com. Want to email me personally? freeamericaradio@usa.com. freeamericaradio@usa.com. Got a lot to discuss today. Again, follow me on Liberty and Freedom Network on Facebook. That would be cool. Texas judge warns of Obama civil war. Going to get into that one a little bit. I posted it twice there, sorry. Also, everybody's all up in arms about Paul Ryan, the conservative. Is he a conservative? No. I'll go down the list of why he is not. And that was on there at Liberty and Freedom Network on Facebook. Also, from Intel Wars, posted on Liberty and Freedom Network there on Facebook. Breaking out of the mouth of J.P. Morgan Chase. Schedule of loans purchased from WAMU, Washington Mutual, does not exist. See, told you. Banking fraud, mortgage fraud, all of that. You're underwater in your mortgage. That's why. It's all a complete and utter fraud. Okay? Nobody has any cash on them, whether it's in the bank. It's all your money goes when you pay your mortgages to this fraudulent operation called mortgages. Okay, under J.P. Morgan Chase. Okay, just want to specify that as well. Black Panthers activist turned out to be FBI informants. Christian and gun owners in the crosshairs. Chilling tactic exposed. Okay, Douglas J. Hagman has that. It's up there on Liberty and Freedom Network on Facebook. Charleston Voice. Congress now trying to outlaw reporting on government corruption. There's censorship right there. And also, First Amendment violated as Facebook assists police in pre-crime investigations. Going to go into that one. Also, Facebook is deleting anything that you post that is critical of the United States or the Obama administration or anything of that nature, or, you know, what's coming down the line. Startling evidence that central banks and Wall Street insiders are rapidly preparing for something big. I'm going to get into that one after the break. That's the first one up on the list. Obama signs Congress approved bill giving him more power, from the freedomoutpost.com. And of course, yesterday Alex Jones talked about this, but I'll touch upon this as well. Blog Talk radio host kidnapped by thought police. There you go. The utter operation of censorship right then and there. Okay? It's all coming up on the Views Express, so please hang out. Please be here, enjoy your stay, and like us on Facebook at Liberty and Freedom Network on Facebook. Be back after this.
Listen to Angel Clark Monday through Friday, 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Radio Freedom News Network. RadioFreedom.us.
Have you heard about a show called Diane and Wayne's Grab Bag Potpourri? It's a talk show. Well, it's called Grab Bag Potpourri for a reason. They talk about everything under the sun, from education to politics, from lines at the cashier in the stores to parking lot drivers not paying attention. You want real radio? Well, you don't get any more real than that. That's Diane and Wayne's Grab Bag Potpourri talk show. Fridays at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, and a whole lot of fun.
We went to the streets to ask people, what do you like about Doc FM? Oh, well, I think he's sexy. He has a very sexy voice, and he makes my headphones tingle.
I think the doctor is very smart. Everything he tells you, you must learn it, because it is smartness to know. Plus, he plays my favorite music. He plays like the 80s and the 70s and the 44s and the 62s.
J'ai pas eu une seule occasion de rester sans rien faire depuis que je suis arrivé à Camelot. Je suis trop occupé à courir derrière Arthur. Fais ci Merlin, fais ça Merlin. Et quand je cours pas derrière Arthur, je fais des corvées pour vous. Et quand je fais pas ça, j'accomplis mon...
Doc FM on Spreaker.com.
Well, it's no secret that Doctor won't play none of that countrified music, so I don't really listen to him that much, but when I do, it's a hold down. The first time that I listened to the Doctor, he was making fun of the British. After I got over my attitude, I came back and listened to him. He's wonderful and raucous.
Listen to Doc FM every Saturday evening, 7 p.m. Central, right here on Spreaker.com.
Welcome to the News Express for the 22nd of August, 2012. I am your host, Reverend Wayne S. Pierce. Hope you all having a good hump day. It's all downhill from here in more ways than one. I hope that your week has gone well. I hope your weekend is going to go even better. You're listening to the Views expressed on Liberty and Freedom Network. Thank you for coming here and participating in this little show in my neck of the woods over here in the biggest little city in the world, Reno, Nevada, in FEMA Region 9, just to let you know. Up first on the show is an article which you might find interesting. I know I did. From SHTFplan.com. SHTFplan.com. You can find this link on Liberty and Freedom Network on Facebook. Startling evidence that central banks and Wall Street insiders are rapidly preparing for something big. Michael Snyder over there, thank you, Michael, posted about 5 days ago from Economic Collapse blog. And it goes on to say, if you want to figure out what is going to happen next in the financial markets, carefully watch what the insiders are doing. Those that are connected have access to far better sources of information than the rest of us have, and if they hear that something big is coming up, they will often make very significant moves with their money in anticipation of what is about to happen. Right now, Wall Street insiders and central banks all around the globe are making some very unusual moves. In fact, they appear to be rapidly preparing for something really big. So exactly what are they doing? What are they up to? In a previous article entitled, Are the Government and the Big Banks Quietly Preparing for an Imminent Financial Collapse? The writer here says, I speculated that they may be preparing for a financial meltdown of sorts. As I noted in that article, the writer said, more than 600 banking executives have resigned from their positions over the past 12 months. And as the writer says, I have been personally told that a substantial number of Wall Street bankers have been shopping for quote-unquote prepper properties this summer. But now even more evidence has emerged that quiet preparations are being made for an imminent financial collapse. That doesn't guarantee that something will happen or won't happen. Like any good detective, the writer here says, we are gathering clues and trying to figure out what the evidence is telling us. It's quite a lengthy article, so if you want to go read it, that's cool. Let me just give you some of the sub-headlines here. Why is George Soros selling so much stock and buying so much gold? Okay. That's one of the sub-headlines here. Central banks are also hoarding gold is another one. Rampant insider selling. You see a lot of selling going off on S&P 500 or the stock market, New York Stock Exchange. Yeah, you better hide your money in a box under your bed. Why does the U.S. government need so much ammunition? Let me just read this. This week, it was revealed that the Social Security Administration plans to buy 147,000 hollow point bullets, which will be delivered to 41 different locations all over America. Now, why in the world does the Social Security Administration need 174,000 bullets? And why do they need hollow point bullets? Those bullets are designed to cause as much damage to internal organs as possible. Back in March, Homeland Security purchased 450 million rounds of 40 caliber hollow point bullets that are designed to expand upon entry and cause maximum organ damage, promoting questions as to why the DHS needed such a large amount of powerful bullets merely for training purposes. This was followed by another DHS solicitation asking for a further 750 million rounds of assorted bullets, including 357 Magnum rounds that are able to penetrate walls. Okay? There's a lot of stuff going on. Thank you, Michael Snyder, over there at the economiccollapseblog.com. Go click on startling evidence that central banks and Wall Street insiders are rapidly preparing for something big on Liberty and Freedom Network on Facebook. Let me break this down for you. You can read the article yourself, of course, but let me tell you from my perspective what is going on. First of all, the financial collapse is imminent. It is evident with the stock market. Now, of course, you'll hear in the lame mainstream media, the propaganda machine of Washington, D.C., being read by those biological androids, reading it off the teleprompters. They won't tell you anything. In other words, they won't break it down, and they'll just say, oh, the stock market is up 3% from last week. That's all they'll tell you, or whatever it is, because they don't want you to know anything else. They know what is real. They see it. They know that the collapse is happening. Some, I have to say, and I have to give them credit for it, they'll say that they'll discuss ways of trying to strengthen your buying power. And that's all code for, you better take your money out of the banks and shove it under your bed, because it's not going to be worth anything. And that's basically what it is. Because here, let me break this down for you. Most of you listening have budgets in your home, or you're a single parent and you're trying to take care of your children or child. Or you're an elderly person, that is trying to get, through life the best way you can at this point. Your kids are all raised and whatever. Let me gear this next part of my analysis to this. You people are absolutely in trouble. Not that I'm sending you off to the principal's office. No, not that trouble. I'm talking financial trouble. The way that I see it is the elderly, the people on Social Security disability or Social Security retirement, that kind of thing. Even if you have two retirements, one, from two different companies, or one from a military and one from a company, and you're in your, late 50s, early 60s, maybe mid 60s, and you're retired, you people are going to have a harder time financially when it comes to the final nail in the coffin of the finances and the economy of this country. Anybody else younger is going to have an easier time with it because they'll know how to function economically through barter, through trade, through whatever. But the older folks, they're not going to have an easy time of it. Or even those people on Social Security disability. They're going to have a very... Let me rephrase this. People on Social Security disability and elderly and retirees are going to have a tough time. They're going to have a difficult time. There is no question about this. It's going to happen. Now, why do I say that? Because most people who are in their 60s and 70s, who are retired, they have had their homes for a while, and maybe they've got a few more years to pay it off, or whatever it may be, or they've paid it off with some 401k and that kind of thing. But you're going to have a very, very tough time, because when the economic collapse happens, which is anywhere between 6 months to a year from now, according to Gerald Celente and Max Kaiser, you're going to have a hard time holding on to your assets. Now, the younger folk, 50 and below, are it's going to be tough for them, but it's not going to be as tough because they have opportunities to spread their money around, or to spread their investments around. Because if you invest in one company, you can take profits from a dividend from that company and invest in something else, still keeping that base of the company, of the investment. And you can invest in, that's called diversification, really. That's what it is. So you're going to have it's going to be tough, but it's not going to be, life ending, or, are you eventually going to lose your money? Your money has no value now. So if you lose it, you got nothing to lose. I'm not a financial expert. I just want to tell you that. So go look at Gerald Celente and also Max Kaiser for their, analysis on all of this. But the fact of the matter is, it's common sense. I'll put it to you this way. The couples have kids, or you're a single parent or whatever, or you're a grandma, grandpa, helping raise your children's, your grandchildren. You've got a budget in your home, and you got specific things that you put your money out for. Your fixed income, your fixed expenses, and then your variables. Okay, here's how the government works. You're there in your home. You're going to go around to 10 different neighbors and say, hey, I need some help, finances, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I'm running low and whatever, can you help? And they do. Let's just say they do. You got 10 people helping you out, right? With so much money, whatever. Let's just put a number on it. It's, this is just a scenario. Let's just put a number on it. So they help you out with $100 a month. So that's 10 people at $100 a month. That's $1,000 a month extra that you have. Or not even extra, you have that to live on, because you don't make a whole lot helping your grandkids. Let's just say you're that family, right? So you take that $1,000 and you say, well, if I invest $250 over here, that leaves me $750 to live on. Okay, if I give $200, or if I give $100 out of that $750 to someone else to live, then you're spreading that around. Sooner or later, it's all going to come crashing down. You're going to implode upon yourself. You're not going to be able to pay the other neighbors back because you said, okay, I'll pay you back on this date every month. You're not going to be able to, and eventually it's all going to collapse. You're going to implode upon yourself. You're going to have to sell your assets off to pay these other people off. Out of that $750 that you had left over, and you're giving out $100, to other people, you're eventually not going to be able to get that back from them to pay these other, people back. And it's all going to collapse because of the extenuating, or I don't even want to call it extenuating, because of the circumstances of the other people. Either they got laid off from their job downsized, or the work got slow and everything's tough for the summer and whatever excuse that these people give you. Eventually it's going to implode upon itself. Then what's going to happen then? Distrust, lawsuits, all of this. And it's really going to be a mess. That is how Washington, D.C. is operating. They're taking money from all of us, giving it out to other people who have absolutely no way of paying us back. We then start suffering because the more money, they jack up on us. They say, well, now, You have to pay us this, you have to pay us that. You make agreements with other people, and you have so much money coming in, and then you want more and more and more and more. Before you know it, everybody else is collapsing around you, and then you can't pay your bills, and you collapse. That is what's going to happen. Okay, period. That's what's going to happen. It's going to happen eventually. And according to Max Kaiser, Gerald Celente, Max Kaiser specifically, he said that within the next 6 months to a year, this whole financial system is going to be totally broke, totally falling apart, and that's just the way it is. So what are you going to do? Even if you take your money and shove it under the bed in a shoebox, it's not going to be worth anything. You want something valuable and tangible in your hand to be able to trade for something that you need. Back in the 1800s or 1700s, 1800s really, mid 1800s to the later 1800s, they traded in gold. Well, things began to just fall apart after 1913. And then it really fell apart when President Richard Nixon took us off the, basically ended the gold standard. And now we have derivatives, made-up money, Treasury and Federal Reserve creating money in a thin air that they say you and I owe, and we don't because it's fake money. And eventually everything's going to collapse. Everything's going to go in a hole. And that's just the way it is. And that's the way it happens. And you can't sustain that type of economy when in fact, it's not going to go well. Okay? It's not. It just isn't. And it really pushes the boundaries, literally, of common sense. Literally, you're not going to be able to get around it. You're not going to be able to sustain even the smallest of area during a collapse. Okay? I'm just going to throw this out here. I don't know how true this is. I'm just speculating at this point. But you're going to have to trade and start operating in the barter system when the economic collapse happens. Now, there's alternatives to cash in your pocket and in the bank, but how well are those protected? How well are those protected? We don't know. So, anyway, going to take one of my long breaks here in the beginning, and we'll come back for a long segment. This is the views expressed right here for the 22nd of August, 2012. I shall return after this. Calvin Wheeler is an American dreamer in a triple threat cage match with his two biggest adversaries, everyday life and himself. His marriage to the woman he believed to be his soulmate is rapidly evaporating before his eyes. The book he's been working on for over a decade is slipping through his fingers as he struggles to complete it. As these pressures grow, Calvin compensates by conjuring up outrageous road rage scenarios in the multiplex of his mind. To make matters even worse, he drives for a living. As his life, job, and dreams simultaneously implode, his wild fantasies begin to literally bleed over into reality. Now, with a gun in one hand and a steering wheel in the other, this distant runner-up in the human race feels empowered for the very first time. And the moral to the story? Traffic can be murder. Red Asphalt by Scott Cherney. Available on the Kindle and in paperback at Amazon.com. It's New York, February 6, 1964. The Beatles are making their appearance on The Ed Sullivan Show in one more day. The Plaza Hotel is crazy with the preparations. Alex Frazier, a desk clerk, has secretly let his brother Freddie use the penthouse suite for the evening so he can wine and dine the girl of his dreams. What Alex and Freddie don't know is the Secret Service are using the same room to hide spy novelist Henry Lade. His most recent novel has attracted the attention of the Soviets and East Germans. The communist countries believe Lade may have secretly discovered their plot to bomb Fresno. Assassins are dispatched to kidnap or kill Lade, whichever is easiest. What Agent John Parker and Henry Lade don't know is the Beatles are staying in the same room for their first appearance on American television. Let's Get Laid by Thomas Amo, available on the Kindle at Amazon.com. Hey, this is the Views Expressed right here for the 22nd of August, 2012. It's a Wednesday, broadcasting live on the Liberty and Freedom Network, broadcasting on Spreaker.com. All the music you hear is coming from freeplaymusic.com. Freeplaymusic.com has all sorts of music. Go check them out. Anyway, also go listen to Jay Towers on that radio show on KTRNradio.com. So anyway, back to the show. How you doing? This is your wonderful host, Reverend Wayne S. Pierce. Yes, I'm a reverend. You can go and you can go to ulchq.com if you have questions. That's who I am ordained through. That is the Universal Life Church, ulchq.com. Just wanted to put this out to you that if you have articles that you yourself write and you want me to talk about them, or you have a website that they're on, or if you want me to put them on our website at Liberty and Freedom Network, please email those articles to me at free America, or not free, that's my personal address for the show, Liberty and Freedom Network at USA.com. Liberty and Freedom Network at USA.com. If you want to email me personally at the show, it's freeamericaradio at USA.com. If you're on the website, on the right-hand side, there's a book called Many Directions of Man. That's a book I wrote, my perspective on what's going on, and some basic solutions, possible solutions. On the left-hand side of the page, you'll see a store link. You go to the store, promote your patriotism by purchasing stuff at the store. And also there's a donate button, and you can donate as much as you want. This is listener-supported radio, so please support your local alternative media. Yes, and all that helps keep the website up and the show going. So thank you for your support. Also, at Liberty and Freedom Network on Facebook, you can go like the page. And speaking of Facebook, Susan Polzel wrote an article for theintelhub.com, posted today, the 22nd of August, 2012. First Amendment violated as Facebook assists in police. First Amendment violated as Facebook assists police in pre-crime investigation. On August 16th, former U.S. Marine Brandon Robb was arrested for posting his opinion about the U.S. government on his Facebook page. You can tell where this story's going, can't you? Robb is currently being held in a psychiatric ward. Yeah. So if you post anything against the government on Facebook, you're going to be, labeled 5150. People know what that is. Crazy, out of your mind. You cannot be a patriot in this country anymore and stand up for the First Amendment. The First Amendment does not exist as of December 31st, 2011, when President Obama signed the NDAA into law. Okay? I just want to mention that to you. I'm a little upset, can you tell? Continuing, Susan writes, in a statement by Robb, he explains, quote, I'm currently in John Randolph in the psychiatric ward being held against my will. They were concerned about me calling for the arrest of government officials, unquote. Robb's lawyer says that he will be held up to 30 days further confinement in a VA psych ward. After, quote, government officials again pointed to Robb's Facebook post as the sole reason for their concern and for his continued incarceration. Continuing, while Robb was taken forcefully, put into handcuffs and taken by the FBI to be questioned, both the FBI and Secret Service deny that Robb was arrested or detained by them. Plausible deniability. Facebook comments were recently cited as evidence in a court case concerning cyberbullying, where comments on a personal page were ruled by a U.S. federal court as information that can be lawfully obtained by the police to be used against a defendant. Your words are going to be used against you. There is no longer any Miranda rights. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you by the state. Do you understand your rights? That's the Miranda law, or the Miranda rights, that they are supposed to give you when they detain you, whether it is in official custody or summary or custodial custody. It does not matter. They have to read them. And guess what? You do have a right to be silent. Continuing, Susan Polzel writes, William Pauley, U.S. District Court judge, stated that because the defendant made violent threats in his post, which were deemed public information, that they are allowable as evidence against him by prosecutors. In other words, he didn't threaten anybody. He just said government officials should be arrested, and they should, so come get me. Okay? There are criminal elements in Washington, D.C. that need to be in prison right now. Okay? So come get me. Continuing, on April 24th, District Judge Raymond Jackson ruled that by clicking a like button on Facebook, that this affiliation is public domain and not protected by the First Amendment. Jackson wrote, quote, simply liking a Facebook page is insufficient, unquote. It is not the kind of substantive statement that has previously warranted constitutional protection. And continues to say that, quote, Facebook posts can be a matter of public concern. However, the court does not believe plaintiffs Carter and McCoy have alleged sufficient speech to garner First Amendment protection, unquote. The Electronic Frontier Foundation, EFF, filed suit with the U.S. Department of Defense because the federal agency refused to admit their relationship with social networks with regard to surveillance and law enforcement investigations. Facebook is part of NATO. Probably MySpace as well is part of them. The internet was created by DARPA and some colleges in the late 60s. The CIA is basically running front groups and companies to basically track you. Yeah, go ahead, come arrest me, put the chains on me, throw me in prison indefinitely. I challenge every single good lawyer out there, every single person out there, you and I, who are patriots and stand up for the freedoms and liberties in this country, to stand up now and say enough's enough. We have to get Rob out of this psychiatric ward before they shoot him up with all kinds of drugs and brainwash him. Okay? So, as Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson says, don't sing it, bring it. Susan continues here in her article. Government officials scanned Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube for evidence of criminal activities. Activities or activists and possible suspects who may have not committed a crime just yet. And these agencies named in the lawsuit refused to cooperate with the EFF in explaining how gathering this information would impact, quote, citizens' privacy rights and associated legal protections, unquote. Hoping to dupe Americans into posting on their Facebook page, the CIA gathers information while inviting people to register and read information about the, quote, employment opportunities, unquote. While government agencies are using Facebook to data mine on Americans, it has been suggested in the social meme that without Facebook page, a person's mental stability is questionable. A couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I saw something like that. If people are not on Facebook posting about their lives and all that, there's something unstable about them. It says here, while government agencies are using Facebook to data mine on Americans, it has been suggested in the social meme that without a Facebook page, a person's mental stability is questionable. Now, having a profile or not is the barometer of whether or not a person is, quote-unquote, suspicious or not. Some psychologists are even suggesting that not having a Facebook profile means that you are a psychopath. Told you. The link between the Batman shooter and the Norwegian mass murderer was their lack of Facebook profiles. In fact, this may, quote, be the first sign that you are a mass murderer, unquote. So if you're not on MySpace, any other LinkedIn, whatever, Facebook, whatever, and you don't put all of your information up there for people to see it, the government's going to consider you a psychopath and a mass murderer. You see how twisted and criminal the Washington, D.C. minions of the New World Order have become. Okay? Yes, I'm upset. Sorry, I apologize, but this pisses me off. What about you? Call to action, everybody. Call to action. Whatever you believe that you can do to get the word out, do it. I'm not your leader. I'm just someone who's pissed off that our government wants to have every piece of information about us. Why? So they can control us. That's the bottom line. They control what you eat, where you can sell. You can't even bring cash into a secondhand store without somebody being suspicious and turning you in. You can't even go to these farmers markets anymore because of the the police coming in with the federal government saying you got to shut this down because it's not nutritious. Excuse me, it came off a farm. It doesn't have all your damn GMO pesticide bullcrap in it, and it's very healthy for people. Why are you trying to shut us down? I've seen it in the news. Rossum Milk, Rossum Foods down in Southern California. And other places like that, in co-ops like that, being taken down by the federal government because the federal government does not want you to be healthy and they want you to eat all the crap and all the GMOs and all the crap-filled food that they have for you grown on their corporate government farms. In other words, those folks work for the state, much like the farms in the former Soviet Union worked for the state. So do you understand where this is all going, folks? I'm sorry, let me get on with this article. The link between the Batman shooter and the Norwegian mass murderer was their lack of Facebook profiles. In fact, this may, quote unquote, be the first sign that you are a mass murderer. Trapwire, the most impressive pre-crime surveillance software cooperation with clients from Walmart to the White House, is but one of many types of Big Brother network grids that have incrementally begun to invade our lives. Alexander Keith, director of the National Security Agency, described at a yearly DEF CON computer hacking conference that the internet is, quote, at great risk from exploitation, disruption, and destruction, unquote. He went on to voice his, quote, concern that it's going to flow into destructive attacks that could have consequences for our crucial or critical national infrastructure and the internet itself, unquote. I'm going to read this whole article, folks, because it's very, very important. I don't have that long. There's not much left. Susan continues as she writes, basically, Keith is concerned because the internet is currently not controlled by federal agencies. When the NSA needs more hackers, they recruit out of the colleges and universities across the U.S. under the official Centers of Academic Excellence in Cyber Operations. Anybody in their 50s or 40s that don't know anything about, computer programming or anything like that, no, just go ask a 16-year-old. They can hack into anything within 5 minutes. Continuing, by using college students, the NSA is amassing an elite, now get this, just hold on to your hats, folks. By using college students, the NSA is amassing an, quote, elite team of computer geniuses, unquote, that will be trained in the methodology of hacking based on their exceptional cyber intelligence, military capabilities, and ability to enhance law enforcement's expansion of spying on Americans. The Department of Justice, DOJ, has requested the authority to criminally prosecute those who lie on Facebook or other social media as a violation of the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. Continuing, according to Richard Downing, the DOJ Deputy Computer Crime Chief, the law must provide for, quote, prosecutions based upon a violation of terms of service or similar contractual agreement with an employer or provider, unquote. Employers had been sued and also have been, it was shot down, that employers wanted you as the employee to give them your Facebook name and password so they can check things out. It was shot down. They can no longer do that. But bills have been introduced into Congress, specifically the Senate, I believe, to where now you don't have a right to say no. That now the government's going to come behind your employer sneak in and hack into your Facebook account or whatever and see what you're up to. You see what I'm saying, folks? Continuing, Susan Polzel writes, a felony can be committed by the person of a social media site by exceeding the authorized access, meaning any information of the website's terms of service. Put in other words, quote, if a person assumes a fictitious identity at a party, there is no federal crime. Yet if they assume that same identity in a social network that prohibits pseudonyms, there may again be a CFAA violation. This is a gross misuse of the law. Do you see how they're corralling you, folks? Do you see how they are corralling you under this UN Agenda 21 Cybersecurity Act or bill or whatever policy they think they can, use? Do you understand it now? Continuing, the NSA has transformed itself into the largest and most comprehensive intelligence agency with the expressed purpose of collecting data on American citizens. Let me read that again. Keep this in mind. In Utah, they just built a $2 billion building center for cyber security, meaning every email you have, every text you have, everything that you say on your cell phone, everything that you say online is going to be put into that building, into that database, and they're going to use it against you. Period. Continuing. Let me read that again. The NSA has transformed itself into the largest and most comprehensive intelligence agency with the express purpose of collecting data on American citizens. Emails, cell phones, text messages, Google searches, parking receipts, and all other forms of information are collected and stored for future use. No, it's for AI purposes so that they can come along and infiltrate your life and start deceiving you on things that you like. Oh, I see you like the San Francisco Giants. Hey, I can scalp a couple of tickets for you. What? Let me continue. Social media sites like Facebook readily give over information to federal agencies that conduct such surveillance. Let me say that again. Emails, cell phone calls, text messages, Google searches, parking receipts, and all other forms of information are collected and stored for future use. Social media sites like Facebook readily give over information to federal agencies that conduct such surveillance. And like we have seen with the case of the U.S. Marine veteran Brandon Robb, it can be used against you. Susan Polzel is the chief editor of Occupy Corporatism. Our alternative news site is dedicated to reporting the news as it actually happens, not as it is spun by the corporate-funded mainstream media. You can find us on Facebook page. Isn't that lovely? Click on the link on Liberty and Freedom Network. First Amendment violated as Facebook assists police in pre-crime investigations. Everything you do is tracked. Everything you do is tracked. Everything you do is tracked. I'll be back after this. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the king of all dorks. Go listen to the Chris Top program right here on Spreaker.com. Cameras on every corner, TSA checkpoints on major highways, militarized law enforcement in every major city, This is not the United States of America we grew up in. Come get the facts about what exactly is going on. The views expressed, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, on Spreaker Web Radio. For more information, go to www.spreaker.com.
Are you tired of the mainstream media? The media that is so biased, you wouldn't even let your dog listen to it? Well, there's an answer.
Angel Club.
On RadioFreedom.us.
Just listen to her fans.
One hell of a writer. I've read a considerable amount of her articles and quite impressed.
Until Angel, my life was void of meaning.
I want to thank you for saving my goldfish from drowning.
I love Angel Clark's honesty and her down-to-earth concern about the people.
She is very dedicated.
Angel, we need you.
Angel's a sexy woman. I think she's going to go places, but I don't know where.
Ladies and gentlemen, she does a good job.
If it wasn't for Angel,
You saved his life, and I will be indebted to you forever.
SussexCountyAngel.com.
Be a part of Angel's Army.
Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. on RadioFreedom.us.
Hey! The views expressed for the 22nd of August 2012. How you doing on this hump day? Yeah, doing good, I hope. Hey, if you're on the website, please check it out. You've got a lot, I haven't worked on it recently, but there's a lot of information that you can use there, I hope. If you have a website or a show or something that you want to promote, I can put it on the website. All you have to do is send me your information to Liberty and Freedom Network at USA.com, Liberty and Freedom Network at USA.com. Yeah, just send me a graphic, send me what your show is about, and I'll post it up on the site. There's a lot that I want to do with the site. I haven't been there in a while to update anything, so sorry if you've seen the stuff already. But there's a book on the right-hand side. There's a graphic for a book on the right-hand side called Many Directions of Man. That would be my book. I wrote it. Just my little observations of what I see in life and possible solutions. Also, and it goes in depth on a lot of other things as well. But also on the left-hand side, you see some links there. One is the store. You can go buy some stuff to promote your patriotism if you'd like. All that does is help keep the page up and the show going. Also, there's a donate button. This is listener-supported. So if you want to donate something to us to keep the site up and the show going, hey, thank you very much for your support. Also, I have opportunities for people to get some ad time. You know, I can run your ads at least twice an hour. So, and this is a 2-hour show, so people get to hear it 4 times. So that's kind of cool, isn't it? So email us at Liberty and Freedom Network at USA.com, Liberty and Freedom Network at USA.com, and I will send you off that rate sheet as soon as possible. Lots of other things going on here in FEMA Region 9 in Reno, Nevada. up here in what's called Black Rock City. There's this big thing going on called Burning Man. It's huge. I saw part of it last year on livestream.com, and I got to tell you, that I want to go. I have never been there. If anybody's ever been to Reno or out north here, you know that there's this big, huge area that's just massive. It looks like a freaking desert. And that's where they hold Burning Man. This year, they're expecting, I don't know how many people. Last year, it was 53,000 people that came last year. This year, they're expecting up to 70,000 people, or the Bureau of Land Management has allowed them to have that many people there. But it's huge. Look it up, startpage.com, put in the search engine Burning Man, and then you'll find all the information there. It's absolutely fantastic from what I saw on livestream.com. It was just, it looked great. I want to go. I really do. It's just fan-freaking-tastic out there. Yeah. So, yeah, it's really cool. Hey, we're going to take a little break. Not long, probably a couple of minutes. We shall return in just a little bit. And, hey, send us your email. Liberty and Freedom Network at USA.com. Liberty and Freedom Network at USA.com. If you want to email me personally at the show, you can at freeamericaradio at USA.com. That's freeamericaradio at USA.com. I'll be back after this.
The views expressed with your host, Reverend Wayne, on Spreaker.com.
Yeah, the views expressed right here for the 22nd of August, 2012. I am your host, Reverend Wayne S. Pierce, and that voice you heard was from Samo Radio on Spreaker.com. Go check him out. Got a lot of good music on that Force Radio Network over there. Samo Radio. I think he's associated with Force Radio Network. If I'm wrong, please email me, freeamericaradio at USA.com, freeamericaradio at USA.com. Got a lot of great shows on Spreaker. You might want to go check some out. The Sandy Fox Show has some great music on there. Also, go check out Doc FM, and great stuff going on over there as well. Another website I want to direct your attention to at some point, and that is KTRNradio.com. Jay Towers over there has that radio show, and great 3-hour show if you want to know what's going on, and even if you don't, you know, I mean, it's a great show. It's very entertaining, very funny. Also, That VK Show is on there on KTRNradio.com. Lots of good stuff, lots of good things. I want to, before getting into the next article, I want to say this. Now, I know we have free speech in this country. Well, according to each and every single individual, not according to Washington, D.C., obviously. But we have a right to say what we want, even if we disagree with someone else, even if we think that a show or a TV show or article or whatever is just full of crap, and we don't like it, and we just don't, whatever. We just despise some of the stuff that's coming over the airwaves. I listened to a particular show on Spreaker. I could only get through, I don't know why it took me this long to get through it, but it was only an hour long, and I listened about 45 minutes of it. And it is the most, let's put it this way. If you were bashing someone or talking down to someone or talking, criticizing someone and cussing and doing all that, do you think somebody would consider that entertainment? Well, these folks probably consider that entertainment, and they even say, if you don't like what we say, go elsewhere. Well, okay. Supposedly people did, because they're not as popular, and they're on Spreaker, and let's just put it this way. They're not entertaining. The only part of the show, and because I was prepping for this show the other day, I didn't listen to the last 10 minutes of the show, but the only part that I felt was even close to being entertainment was the fact that they were going to talk about certain things in life and going to answer some emails and stuff like that. That was the only thing I felt that was going to be entertaining. And as I told Jay Towers over at KTRN Radio, we were talking on Skype yesterday, and I said, Howard Stern has more entertainment value than this particular show. You know what I mean? I mean, where is the entertainment? So even though you may disagree with someone, even though you may not like what they say, it doesn't give you a right to bash them. And if you do, some people would argue, well, even if you're bashing, you got freedom of speech, you can say whatever you want. Well, that's true. But if somebody says, San Francisco Giants are a sucky team and I really don't like them and they're babies and they whine when they, lose or whatever, you know what? That's fine. But if you start cussing and ranting and raving and going beyond the professionalism of broadcasting, wherever it is on the internet or on terrestrial radio, and you start bashing them and their families, yeah, you've just crossed the line. You went from entertainment to being ignorant. You know what I mean? So, but everybody has a right to say what they say without bringing any harm to anyone else. Now, the First Amendment protects my freedom of speech, protects your freedom of speech, or how you express it, anything of that nature. So even though I may disagree with this particular host or the show or a particular writer or editor of a paper or whatever, I will stand with them because they have a right to say what they say. I may not agree with it. I may think it's totally and absolutely ignorant, but they have a right to say what they say, and I will stand with them to protect them and their freedom of speech. Okay? We all don't have to, agree on everything. And that's okay, because people don't agree with mostly what I say. I know someone that won't come to my show because they don't like politics. I don't care what you like or don't like. I have a right to say what I say. And if you turn around and respect that and say, well then, I'm not going to listen to your show and I don't agree with you, but I will stand with you to protect you because you have a right to say what you say. I will defend that, your right to say it. I applaud you for that. So instead of criticizing my show and say, I don't listen to it, why don't you come to my show and listen to some of the things that I say? You know what I mean? And I'm open, to having people email me with, what they want to say. And so you can email me here at the show personally at freeamericaradio@usa.com, freeamericaradio@usa.com. In fact, almost, I didn't promote this in the first hour, this Friday, for 1 hour only, for the first hour of the show, of the Views Expressed, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, I am going to have Open Forum Friday. You can call in and talk about anything you want. Someone asked me, is it going to be political? No, it's if you want it to be. If you have a favorite recipe that you want to share, go ahead. If you want to tell us your secrets of a great stew, then that's fine too. But it's whatever you want. If you want to criticize me for what I say, if you want to tell me I'm wrong, you better bring the evidence. But if you want to, it's open forum, whatever it is you want to talk about. And, it's cool because I want to hear from you. And tomorrow on this show, in the second hour, I will let you know how to get a hold of me on the show. It's real simple. It's not complicated. It's really cool. All right? So it's not going to kill you. Again, Open Forum Friday, the first hour of the views expressed this Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. So tell me what is on your mind. Tell me what's happening in your neck of the woods. It's getting really close to election time, so if you have stuff you want to talk about that, that's cool. We can do that. If you don't, hey, if you want to ask me about me being a minister, go ahead. It's open forum for the first hour. So that's kind of cool. So come check it out. The views expressed. We're going to have Open Forum Friday, the first hour of the show, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, right here on Liberty and Freedom Network, broadcasting live on Spreaker.com. Email me, Liberty and Freedom Network at USA.com, Liberty and Freedom Network at USA.com. You want to email me directly in the show, Free America Radio at USA.com, Free America Radio at USA.com. Go to the webpage. I got a book there called Many Directions of Man. Please pick it up. It's my view of stuff going on, and hopefully it'll help you understand from my point of view how I see the world. So, email me, Liberty Freedom Network, Liberty and Freedom Network at USA.com, Liberty and Freedom Network at USA.com. Email me directly for the show at Free America Radio at USA.com, Free America Radio at USA.com. We'll be back right after this.
Classic AOR.
Album-oriented rock
is back on the Force Radio Network every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 8 p.m. Central Time. Complete albums non-stop beginning to end. No talk, no commercials. Just pure album rock from beginning to end. From artists like Pink Floyd,
taking away the moments that make up a dull day.
The Doors,
Come on, now touch me, baby.
Peter Frampton, Boston, Grand Funk,
Tell everybody you know
and much more.
you got some rock and roll soul.
Tuesday night, AOR, album-oriented rock, non-stop classic rock on the Force Radio Network.
Have you heard about a show called Diane and Wayne's Grab Bag Potpourri? It's a talk show. Well, it's called Grab Bag Potpourri for a reason. They talk about everything under the sun, from education to politics, from lines at the cashier in the stores to parking lot drivers not paying attention. You want real radio? Well, you don't get any more real than that. That's Diane and Wayne's Grab Bag Potpourri talk show. Fridays at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, and a whole lot of fun.
This is the views expressed right here on the Liberty and Freedom Network for the date of 22nd of August 2012. Broadcasting live on Spreaker.com behind enemy lines in FEMA Region 9 in the biggest little city in the world, Reno, Nevada. Got a lot going on. I want to direct your attention to Sunday evening. It's 6 p.m. Pacific. Late Night in the Midlands has Kerry Korn with Face the Facts. That's Late Night in the Midlands, 6 p.m. Pacific. Kerry Korn hosts Face the Facts. Great show. Anyway, onward and upward to bigger and better things. We have a short segment, so I'm not going to get into a whole lot. Longer segment coming up. We have a ton of stuff that I wanted to get into. Everybody's touting, everybody's yelling, everybody's, applauding Paul Ryan for his conservatism. They are so deluded. Okay. Also, Black Panthers activist turned out to be FBI informants from the LoneStarWatchdog.com. Also, breaking out of the mouth of J.P. Morgan Chase, schedule of loans purchased from WAMU, Washington Mutual, does not exist. Okay? Just to let you know. Let's get into the Paul Ryan thing. There's a picture up on Liberty and Freedom Network. It says, Paul Ryan is not a true conservative or a libertarian. Why? Well, this is why. I'll tell you why. He voted yes on TARP, the bailout. He voted yes on economic stimulus, H.R. 5140. He voted yes on $15 billion bailout of GM and Chrysler. Excuse me. He voted yes on $192 billion additional anti-recession stimulus spending. Okay, that's over $200 billion, folks. Voted yes on federalizing rules for driver's license to hinder terrorists. Voted yes on making the Patriot Act permanent. Voted yes on allowing the electronic surveillance without a warrant. Voted yes on authorizing military force in Iraq. Voted yes on emergency $78 billion for war in Iraq and Afghanistan. Voted yes on declaring Iraq part of the war on terror with no exit date. Voted no on redeploying U.S. troops out of Iraq starting in 90 days. Voted yes on limited prescription drug benefit for Medicare recipients. Voted yes on providing $70 million in Section 8 housing vouchers. Voted yes on extending unemployment benefits to 59 weeks. And voted yes on No Child Left Behind and yes on Head Start Act. Not based on his voting record. He is not a conservative or a libertarian. Okay? That is from Conspiracy Theory with Jesse Ventura on True TV's photo. You can go to that, Jesse Ventura Conspiracy Theory with Jesse Ventura on True TV's Facebook link and check that out. So let me get this straight. You got a person saying that he is a conservative, a libertarian. He wants, audit the Federal Reserve, blah, 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 all this. Well, all he's doing is echoing Ron Paul. And get this. In 2008, when Barack Obama was running for president, what did he say? Hope and change. What did he say? Yes, we can. What did he say? He said a whole lot, and he was blowing smoke out of his butt, is what he was doing, because when he got into office, what's the first thing he did? Okay? What's the first thing he did? Executive order, executive order, executive order. That's what he did in the first 100 days. And in the last 3.5 years, he signed 293 executive orders. So don't tell me that this guy, Paul Ryan, is anywhere near conservative or a libertarian. He would do the same thing as vice president. Mitt Romney is just another flavor of totalitarianism. He's going to do exactly the same thing that Barack Obama is doing because his handlers are telling him so. Former cabinet members, I think it was in the Clinton era, Former cabinet members came out and blew the whistle on the fact that once a person, and other people, of course, came out and said that once the person that was elected president goes into the Oval Office, several people in suits come in and say, okay, guy, you said this, you said that, and you said what you're going to do and all. No, you're not going to do any of that at all, because here's what you're going to do. Here's the game plan. He's a puppet just like everybody else, and so is Mitt Romney, so is Paul Ryan, so they're all that way. Okay? The globalists do not want you to have rights, they do not want you to have guns, they don't want you to have freedom, sovereignty, or liberty. That's just the way it is. That's the New World Order. They want to hand the United States, you and I, and everything we do over to the United Nations. President Barack Obama is violating the law in that he is sitting on the Security Council of the United Nations, which no sitting president can do because it's against the law. Okay? Period. End of sentence. In 2005, in Baylor University, George Bush, King Bush II, and Paul Martin, the Prime Minister of Canada, and Vicente Fox, President of Mexico, signed this little piece of paper called the Securities, Prosperities, and Partnership, SPP document, which gave and created a foundation by which the infrastructure would stand of a North American Union. In 2009, President Barack Obama, Prime Minister Stephen Harper of Canada, and current President Felipe Calderon of Mexico signed the additional policies within that to create the infrastructure for the North American Union. Now, with the 293 executive orders that he has just signed, he has destroyed the sovereignty of the United States. He has taken away our constitutionally protected rights. Our rights come from a creator, not Washington, D.C. And he has literally gutted everything in the United States. Bill Clinton signed NAFTA and GATT, essentially opening the doors for all our companies to go overseas. And $20 billion went to move the Volt plant from GM to China. President Barack Obama did that one. There's so much that you people do not know that you're going to sit there and yell at your computer saying, well, it's just a conspiracy theory. You don't know. Yes, I do. I just read you links of stuff, okay? I told you where to go to find the stuff on Liberty and Freedom Network. It's all got the links there. Go to Infowars.com. Go to GlennBeck.com. Go to anywhere you want to go. Reuters, AP, everywhere. Drudge Report. It's all freaking there, people. And you're going to sit there and say, I don't want to talk about politics. When did your freedoms and liberties become political? Your freedoms and liberties come from a creator, not from Washington, D.C. Sorry to kind of, pull the rug out from under you, but hey, idiot, wake up. Yes, I'm going to call you names. I don't really care. I know people are going to, well, if you keep calling people names, they're not going to listen to your show. Really? You don't want, You don't want me to reveal the truth behind the crap that's out there called mainstream media? Well, I want positive things. I don't want to look at all this stuff because I want positive things. Really? Okay, here's something positive for you. Let me tell you this is positive. You have the ability to change your life right now to better your future. You have the opportunity right now to change it. I don't give a crap if you're on Social Security disability, if you're elderly, if you're 50 or 55 or 60 and retired. You have the ability right now to get up and change your life. How's that for positiveness? Well, I don't have any transportation. I don't have, my grandkids are not coming over anymore, so how can I, do you have two legs? Yeah. Well, you can walk, can't you? Yeah. Is there a store nearby? Yeah. Well, there you go. Can you do something from home? Yeah, you have a computer, don't you? You're probably listening to me on that computer or an iPhone. Spreaker has iPhone apps that you can use to listen to different shows and to create your own. But if you're at home and you're on a computer, you can do stuff. You can go to cafepress.com. You can go to lulu.com. You can go to all these places that will help you create something for yourself to help you day to day. Even if you go out for a walk and talk to your neighbors, and even if you go down the street and talk to the people down there at the convenience store, or say you're still able to drive, you go over to a strip mall or something, and talk to people over there. It's better for you to get up and to get out and to do something than sit there and go, I don't know what I'm doing today. I'm on Social Security Disability. I'm on retirement. I have no clue. Really? You don't? Yeah, you do. Well, I'm 65 and I have no idea how to turn on a computer. Really? You better learn. Hell, I know 70-year-olds, 80-year-olds that get on a computer and do stuff. James Michener, I think that's his name, famous author, did not have his first book published until he was 40. And he had to go through a literary agent and all that. That was back then. Now you got lulu.com, you've got createspace.com, you can write your own book, publish it yourself, blah, blah, blah. There you go. You ever gone to Barnes & Noble? By the way, it kind of sucks that Borders was closed, right? But look at Barnes & Noble. You go there, do you go to Barnes & Noble? You go to any bookstore. We got a little mom and pop bookstore down here, used books and stuff. And it's great to look around. Have you seen the diversity of subjects that people write about? My website has Many Directions of Man on the right-hand side of the website. Pick it up, please. It's my observation of what's going on in the world and possible solutions, and I get into depth on certain things, Please pick it up. I self-published it. I read the manuscript, which I still have on my computer, and I'm going, I made a grammar error. So, yeah, there's going to be errors in it because I'm not perfect, folks. Sorry. I don't walk on water. Hello. When you can criticize me for being this way when you're perfect enough to walk on water. Okay? You can look at me and say, well, why, if your show, I don't want to come to your show because it's so political, and I don't want to get into that because I want to listen to positive things. Really? Then go elsewhere. There's a lot of sports programs on Spreaker.com. There's a lot of entertainment programs on Spreaker.com. Go ahead. Go check it out. Go ahead. I've got entertainment on here, too. I got another channel here on Spreaker, another show. It's called Eastland Sci-Fi Radio Theater, and it's radio plays that I'm creating. So, yeah, I do other things other than this. This Friday, two things. 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on The Views Express. The first hour is going to be Open Forum Friday, and tomorrow I'll tell you how to get on the show. Also Friday night, I have Diana and Wayne's Grab Bag Potpourri talk show that I co-host with my girlfriend. Yeah, that's on at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. And we talk about everything under the sun. So you don't want to come to my show because it's political? Okay, get your head out of your butt, will you? You don't want to leave your apartment. You don't want to leave your house. You don't want to leave your dwelling. You don't want to leave anywhere because you don't want to deal with reality. And the reality is this current system of government we have is going in the tubes really damn quick, okay? If you want to listen and watch TV and see what, is going on with Jersey Shore or the Kardashians or whatever, yeah, go empty your mind into that mindless drivel. Go ahead. It is stupid, ignorant, and has no social redeeming value. Go ahead. If you want to watch your stupid ESPN sports programs, go ahead. You want to see who's in the playoffs in basketball or who's boxing who or whatever. I don't give a crap. It's all mindless drivel. And it doesn't give you there is nothing redeeming in there that you can say, hey, I feel good today because I found out that, whatever. No. If you want to know the truth, get your butt up out of your chair, go walk around and go talk to people. For over 25 years, almost 30 years of my life, that's what I have done. Instead of sitting around bitching and pissing and moaning about somebody else disagreeing with me, I went and figured out why they disagree, and I found out that it's because they have a particular view and a particular perspective on things. And guess what? I learned a great deal. Okay? I've learned a great deal from doing that. Some people would say, well, in the last 7, 8, 10, 15 years, you've gotten better. You're not so stringent. You don't argue really, you don't argue with people anymore. You don't think that your opinion is the only one that people should listen to. I've had people tell me that, in a way. And I look at them and go, well, you don't know me, do you? It is true that I still have that sense of, you're going to listen to me, and this is my opinion, and it's a little tiny, itty-bitty fraction of a little percentage point in there that I want to grab people and say, here's what I'm, you're going to, I can't do that. You know why? I'm not, really, it's not right. But I point to the evidence right there. It's in front of you. Okay? Your opinion matters, and other people are going to listen to that, and they're going to say, are you right or wrong? Well, the only person they're going to have to prove anything to is themselves. This is why I'm giving you the links, to the websites. Because you need to really go out and look this stuff up yourself. Don't believe me. My opinion is not the only one out there. Go check other, things out. Am I right? Am I wrong? I will be the first in line to admit that I don't know everything. And number 2, I could be wrong. So there you go. Go check it out yourself. And if you don't want to come to my show because you don't want to talk politics or anything like that, fine. Continue to stay in your little cubicle, in your little cookie cutter way of living. Stay there. Always. Don't get outside of those boundaries to learn anything. Don't go talk to anybody. Don't find out what other people believe. I talk to enough people. I listen to enough local news, and they touch upon the national stuff. But they don't get down deep inside to show you where all of that is coming from. Is what I'm saying. I don't want to know. I want positive things. Okay, you know what you are? You're that mouse in the cage that goes on his wheel for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, getting nowhere. You get off, you drink some water, you get back on the wheel, and you're running into... No. You need to go out and talk to people. And I don't care if you disagree with them or not. There's a whole lot of people I don't agree with. I just keep on going. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Right on. You don't agree with me? Great. Why? Well, I just don't agree with you. You don't have a basis for your disagreement against what I'm saying? I've literally called people out on that. I've called people out on that. You disagree with what I'm saying, but you have no basis for that disagreement. No, I just disagree. Why? And then they walk away. But when I confront them with the truth and throw the facts in front of them, showing the resources, that makes their head explode. Figuratively speaking, because they cannot handle the truth. No one can handle. Do you think I like sitting here telling you what's going on in the news and analyzing all this stuff and telling you what's behind the scenes when I know what's coming down the line? When I've looked at this stuff over 30 years ago while I was in high school going, well, when I graduate, there ain't going to be crap for me. I knew back in when I graduated, and I'm not shy to say, folks, I graduated in 1980, okay? I'm not shy to say that. I knew by 1982, when I got into deep research of this stuff, I knew that by the time I retired, at that time I think it was 62, by the time I retired, I wasn't going to have any money whatsoever. I wasn't going to have anything. And I told my folks about it, and I told other people about it. And you know what they said to me? They had the gall to look at me in the eyes and say, well, the government owes it to you. No, they don't. They can't take it away from you. They owe it to you. You paid into it. They've been stealing it ever since they implemented Social Security Act. Because they didn't think people were going to live longer than 45. So they had to, put something in to help people. It's a savings account. Hello, I put money in the savings account, and you're going to steal it to go invest in your bullcrap system? Yeah, that's kind of stupid, isn't it? Oh, and by the way, banks own your money. Go to the link on Liberty and Freedom Network on Facebook and read that one. Banks steal your money. It's right there. Okay? Go scroll down on Liberty and Freedom Network on Facebook. You'll find the article. It's just amazing. It's amazing. So people, I don't know. I don't know. I joke around and say I can't. I feel like pulling my hair out, but I don't have enough left. You know what I'm saying? It's that bad. It's really, really that bad. I'll be back after this.
Listen to Angel Clark Monday through Friday, 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Radio Freedom News Network. RadioFreedom.us.
Have you heard about a show called Diane and Wayne's Grab Bag Potpourri? It's a talk show. Well, it's called Grab Bag Potpourri for a reason. They talk about everything under the sun, from education to politics, from lines at the cashier in the stores to parking lot drivers not paying attention. You want real radio? Well, you don't get any more real than that. That's Diane and Wayne's Grab Bag Potpourri talk show. Fridays at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, and a whole lot of fun.
We went to the streets to ask people, what do you like about Doc FM?
Oh, well, I think he's sexy. He has a very sexy voice, and he makes my headphones tingle.
I think the doctor is very smart. Everything he tells you, you must learn it, because it is smartness to know. Plus, he plays my favorite music. He plays like the 80s and the 70s and the 44s and the 62s.
J'ai pas eu une seule occasion de rester sans rien faire depuis que je suis arrivé à Camelot. Je suis trop occupé à courir derrière Arthur. Fais ci Merlin, fais ça Merlin. Et quand je cours pas derrière Arthur, je fais des corvées pour vous. Et quand je fais pas ça, j'accomplis mon...
Doc FM on Spreaker.com.
Well, it's no secret that Doctor won't play none of that countrified music, so I don't really listen to him that much, but when I do, it's a hoedown. The first time that I listened to the Doctor, he was making fun of the British. After I got over my attitude, I came back and listened to him. He's wonderful and raucous.
Listen to Doc FM every Saturday evening, 7 p.m. Central, right here on Spreaker.com.
This is Reverend Wayne S. Pierce. You're listening to the views expressed right here on the Liberty and Freedom Network for the 22nd of August, 2012. Now, before we went to the break, I said, do you think I like sitting here telling you all this? Let me tell you something. I like sitting here telling you all this because it is important for you to know this stuff. Okay? There's other people out there that do the same thing. You can go to Freedomizer Radio with the Moretti Report and ABC over there. And you can go to KTRNradio.com, check stuff out over there. You can even go to places like Alex Jones, Infowars.com, listen to free audio streaming of his show every day. Or you can go to listen to the free audio streaming of Glenn Beck and see what his perspective is. Why? Because everybody has a different perspective of this. Now, a lot of people would say, well, you're fear-mongering. No, I'm not. You define to me, in the current context of the current political and economic situation and circumstances going on in the United States, what your definition of fear-mongering is. You don't have one because you can't think of any. Okay? But anyway. Yes, one of those things. Black Panther's activists turned out to be FBI informants. Click on the link on Liberty and Freedom Network on Facebook. And it is, well, I'm there now, but yeah. It's a video. And it is over at LoneStarWatchdog.com. That is www.thelonestarwatchdog.com. It's a video, first person to arm Black Panthers. Richard Aoki was an FBI informant. Check out that video. Okay, a little something over there. Oh, by the way, here's another link. Charleston Voice. Congress is now trying to outlaw reporting on government corruption. Bill Rummel over there at Chaz Voice, CHASVOICE, chazvoice.blogspot.co.uk. Click on the link on Liberty and Freedom Network on Facebook. Posted by Bill Rummel. Did you miss this story? We did. From August 21st, yesterday, 2012. Congress now trying to outlaw reporting on government corruption. Posted by Alexander Higgins. You can probably find that over at Alexander Higgins blogspot.com. Lawmakers are pushing legislation through Congress that will criminalize reporting on illegal activities and corruption in the U.S. government. Just when you thought the United States government couldn't sink any lower, our beloved politicians in Washington, D.C. have introduced legislation that will criminalize reporting on U.S. government secrets. What makes this new legislation shocking is that we have seen the U.S. government repeatedly use the quote-unquote state secrets and the quote, national insecurity card to suspend the Constitution that at will to commit a wide variety of heinous activities, from torture to indefinite detention without trial to outright forced drugging of prisoners and even repeated assassination by the government of people, including U.S. citizens, which is now being done on the direction of the United States' first ever assassination czar. Keeping that in mind, the fact that lawmakers are now trying to go after reporters that, quote, publish government secrets, unquote, unequivocally amounts to an outright ban on any and all reporting on government corruption, period, because at the end of the day, the corrupt and illegal activities conducted by government officials are done in secret in the first place. Let me take you back to 1913. President Woodrow Wilson signed the Federal Reserve Act and the Internal Revenue Act into law behind closed doors because the Rothschilds and Rockefellers twisted his arm. The Federal Reserve is a private bank for the Rothschilds and all the elites and all the Bilderberg members and Rockefellers and all that. Continuing, this week, House Republicans sought legal advice on whether reporters can be prosecuted for leaking secret information public, and the excuse being used is a series of leaks by officials in the Obama administration that have pissed off the Republicans. The only reason they're trying to do that is because the Democrats and Republicans are both owned and paid for by the same elite groups. There is no separation in who funds them. They're all funded by current and former Goldman Sachs people. Now, continuing, the latest of those high-profile leaks revealed the truth, or the writer should have said, the latest of those high-profile leaks revealed the true nature of America's cyber warfare program and even President Obama's secret assassination list. Now, Congress is trying to justify the outlawing of such reporting using the excuse of, quote, compromising national security, unquote, when the truth is the information was given to reporters in repeated interviews by government officials speaking on the condition of anonymity with the approval of the White House in the first place. You see? Once again, our government is manufacturing yet another quote-unquote crisis. Look for false flag events, people. That can take advantage. Excuse me. Once again, our government is manufacturing yet another crisis that they can take advantage of to expand its even more dictatorial powers in what has been nothing less than a full-scale war being waged by our government against the U.S. Constitution. There's an RT video on Higgins TV. It says Liz Wall joins RT web producer Andrew Blake to discuss exactly what this would mean for freedom of press and freedom of speech. So there is a video there accompanying that link. Charleston Voice, Congress now trying to outlaw reporting on government corruption. Interesting, is it not? Interesting. Very, very interesting. I don't know, folks. I mean, what do you think? Email me, Liberty and Freedom Network at USA.com, Liberty and Freedom Network at USA.com. The next article, from Late Night in the Midlands. Late Night in the Midlands with Michael Vera. Weeknights, go to latenightinthemidlands.com for more information. Christianity and gun owners in the crosshairs. Chilling tactic exposed. Douglas J. Hagman, the 16th of August, 2012. If you are an outspoken Christian in America, you need to be concerned. If you are an outspoken Christian in America who happens to be a gun owner, you need to be very concerned. And if you are a Christian gun owner who disagrees with the progressive anti-Christian agenda in America and have a platform to inform others, you better believe that they are under intense scrutiny. You better believe you are under intense scrutiny. Sound like paranoid propaganda? Read on. It's a long article, folks. I may not get it to all of it by the end of the show, but I'll get to enough of it. You can click on the link on Liberty and Freedom Network. Christianity and gun owners in the crosshairs. Chilling tactics exposed. Let me continue. Let me go back up here. Douglas Hagman says, it's one thing to say that there is a war against Christianity and an active agenda to disarm Americans, but it's another thing to altogether to watch it unfold up close and personal, and yet another to actually document an insidious but effective tactic that is presently being used to silence and disarm Christians right here in America. In this report, I will expose a new tactic being used by the atheistic communist supporters of the Obama regime to silence Christian critics and disarm them at the same time. He writes, I might have never known about this had it not been for our nightly radio program, the Hagman and Hagman Report. In fact, our show played a minor role in the events that transpired. Jason Igroff, a 28-year-old web designer and graphics artist from Scranton, Pennsylvania, called into our show last week to comment on current events, including how Christianity seems to be under attack in America and across the globe. From the statements made by the CEO of Chick-fil-A, regarding traditional families as defined by the Bible, to the resurgence of attacks on Christians across the Middle East as a result of the Arab Spring, we conversed about how Christians are in the crosshairs now more than any other time in recent history. We talked about Barack Hussein Obama's role in what seems to be an overt antagonism toward Christianity and biblical principles. Mr. Egroff's input to our show was a rational and welcome discourse about the events we see unfolding. Sorry, had to pause there and mute myself for a cough. Continuing, Mr. Egroff called our program before and has always been articulate and well-informed. His call last week was equally articulate and without unnecessary emotion or hype, just like his previous calls. He made his points in a very well-reasoned, rational, and non-threatening manner and said nothing with which we could disagree. Through our dialogue that included off-air correspondence, we were delighted to learn that Mr. Egroff himself is hosting his own weekly radio program called Revelation News Radio, a show that provides his analysis and current events through the prism of the Holy Bible. As he is just getting started, he did a few shows leading up to his weekly slot, including a show on August 7th, 2012, a day after he called our program as a guest. After his call to our program, we moved on, and our program concluded without incident. This is when events began to get interesting and go very wrong for Mr. Egroff. Monitoring the Watchman. As Mr. Egroff was seated at his computer preparing to listen to our program that began at 8 p.m. On Wednesday, August 8th, 2012, he received a phone call from a man who identified himself as Officer Steve from the city of Scranton, Scranton Police Department, who told Jason that he was calling just to check on him to see if he was all right. Jason, who never heard of Officer Steve or really understand the nature of the call, responded that he was fine and had no problems where he might need the police. He was taken off guard by the call and became uneasy, especially since the officer was elusive in providing a legitimate reason for the call. While our broadcast was playing on Jason's computer, he received another telephone call from a restricted number. It was Officer Steve again, although this time he was calling from the front porch of Mr. Egroff's home or house. The officer reintroduced himself and asked Jason to turn on the porch light and step outside as he wanted to speak to him. Knowing that he had done nothing wrong, Jason complied with the officer's request. As he stepped onto the porch, Officer Steve was there to meet him, accompanied by another law enforcement officer. The writer here, excuse me, the writer, Douglas Hagman, said, I should note that Jason Egroff is not stupid or naive and sensed that had he not complied with the officer's request, things might have gotten ugly. Quote, it was a matter of choosing my battles, unquote, he told me, but he was still not quite ready for what happened next. The officer told Jason that the Scranton Police Department received a phone call from a friend living in New York City who claimed to be concerned about Jason's mental health. Remember Rob, the guy who went to the psycho ward because he posted something on Facebook? Continuing, the officer told Jason that the Scranton Police Department received a telephone call from a friend living in New York City who claimed to be concerned about Jason's mental health. This friend works as a physical therapy assistant at a New York City hospital. It is important to note that his friend's professional position is well outside of the mental health practice. Excuse me. According to the officer, Jason's friend contacted his department and claimed that he was worried about him, citing his recent talk about the Bible in general, biblical prophecy in particular, and the role the Obama regime in the larger picture detailed by prophecy. This quote-unquote friend has been listening to Jason's calls to the Hagman and Hagman Report, as well as Jason's own recently started BTR, Blog Talk Radio show. Additionally, Jason's friend knew that he owns a couple of guns, none that are of much monetary value or the type people intent on doing harm would possess. Despite this, his friend expressed concern that Jason could possibly use the weapons in some nefarious manner. Based on Jason's own admission, he rarely uses the guns to target practice and has little attachment to them. During Douglas's interview with Jason, he said that he did not care if he had a gun or not. They are simply not that important to him. Quote unquote, you need to come with us. The officer told Jason that he had to go with them based on a mental health complaint that originated solely from his friend, the physical therapist assistant in New York, who claimed that he was worried for Jason's safety. At this point, Jason was under the control of the officers and was not permitted to be alone as he entered his house to shut things down for the trip he was about to take. The officers took Jason to the local hospital psychiatric ward for, quote-unquote, evaluation. For the next 18 hours, he was subjected to some of the most humiliating searches, probes, and questions by hospital personnel. Questions included those specific to his religious faith and that he thought about the government and what he thought about the government and Obama. Questions that were structured in such a manner that regardless of the answer, they would result in portraying him as a dangerous gun-owning Christian zealot. All as a result of Jason's expressing his own non-violent, well-reasoned, and articulate views on our show as well as his own. And ostensibly from the concern of one friend, quote-unquote, from another state and well over 100 miles away. Jason Ergoff was indeed evaluated by 2 medical health professionals. Despite the manner in which Mr. Ergoff was picked up, detained, probed, prodded, and interviewed, some might call it an interrogation, he remained calm and did his best to comply. He believed that the medical professionals would find him in good mental health and realized that this was all a mistake. He could then use his experience to help others. Christianity, the medical diagnosis of psychosis. I'm going to go a little bit over to finish this up. Continuing, Jason was indeed released after about 20 hours of evaluation. He was given his belt and shoelaces back and all of his personal belongings taken from him upon admission. He was released without fanfare, without apology, and without explanation. But with little additional interaction, Jason was now labeled with the medical diagnosis as of psychosis and urged to take medication that he states he does not need and does not want. Additionally, Jason was released under the condition that he gets rid of any and all firearms he owns and report to a crisis counseling center upon discharge. This gets a bit more interesting when Jason, who felt it best to accommodate the evaluating doctors, reported to the crisis counseling center as instructed. Mr. Agroff furnished a handful of paperwork, to the crisis center worker who spent a few minutes looking over the documents. After a lengthy pause, she looked at Jason and made the following chilling observation as if it was a matter of routine. Quote, "So you're here because of your religious beliefs?" Unquote. Not a question. "So you're here because of your religious beliefs?" Unquote. As Jason tells it, this was not a question, but a statement of fact. As a career investigator, as the writer here, Douglas Hagman, says, I've been exposed to people with mental health issues and interviewed many. I know that it's easy to be fooled and that a person might appear normal, say the correct things, but then turn out to be a complete lunatic. I'll admit that in Jason's case, I expected to find just that scenario. I conducted a lengthy interview with Jason, asked him some very personal questions, and demanded to see documentation related to this incident. I was not about to get fooled by Jason or anyone else. To his credit, Mr. Agroff complied with my every request and provided me with the hospital documentation I requested. Watching the watchers who are watching the watchmen. After spending 2 days of constant research and investigation into his case alone, I must report here that there is something very wrong about this case, and it's not Jason Agroff. Despite the diagnosis of psychosis, he was permitted to keep his guns, at least for now. As for his quote-unquote friend who was so worried about his welfare, I've got his number in quotes. You see, one thing I did not tell Mr. Ergoff is that I was able to learn the identity of the man who turned him in as a threat to himself and society. I've tracked his IP addresses and his online activity. My investigation found This is no ordinary case of someone being concerned about a friend's welfare, but part of a larger agenda to silence the Christian conservatives and critics of this administration. I am holding that information and documentation closely, as I feel that Jason and perhaps others might need it when they come for his guns and even him once again. By the way, the concerned friend showed just where his concerns actually lie, and it certainly does not appear to be with Jason. That was clearly illustrated in a 3 a.m. call made to Jason by his friend, where he screamed at Jason for daring to mention the incident on his program, sans names of course. Lest you think that this is an isolated case, I have since heard from 5 other individuals in different parts of the U.S. that this has happened to within the last 30 days. It appears the war against freedom of opinion, freedom of speech, openly professing one's belief in God and the right to bear arms is now sufficient to earn you a medical diagnosis of psychosis. Christian gun owners of America, be forewarned. Good, I got through all that without coughing, and sorry for clearing my throat. Seems to be something going on. Yes, I will take water. Anyway, coming down to the end, I'll spend the next few minutes saying this. You are being watched, tracked, hacked, scammed, and defrauded and deceived to think that this regime, this administration, is concerned about your rights and everything that you cherish in America as the foundation of our liberty. You are now warned. You are no longer free people. Consider yourself being hacked, smacked, and tracked, because that's what the government is doing to you under this current administration, and it's not going to get any better. Drones in the sky, TSA on the street, Homeland Security Police working with your law enforcement officials. Yeah, it's not going to get any better, folks. This is the Views Express. Come join me tomorrow at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Liberty and Freedom Network, broadcasting on Spreaker.com. And we'll get into more of all of this, and I'll tell you more of my perspective and show you exactly what's going on. Get your head out of your butts now. And remember, we the people have the power, for we are America.